Hello. Hi, y'all. Monday night. Here we are. Epic Books. Thank you for joining us. We've got Leticia Garza here with Epic Consulting offering up this space to have this conversation. Rich McCrow from Davis College. We've got Dr. Dixon back with us this evening. And then I see Tommy is in the waiting room, but I'm going to go ahead and start us off with this video. We're going to talk about cultural appropriation today, and we're mixing it up a little bit, trying to follow a schedule, but I think that this video is kind of will lead into next week's conversation about hair, but I thought it was good to start off at the top of the hour because I found this website. Let me see if I can pull this up without screwing everything up. Okay, so here is this site. Is called Girl Spring, online community created by Girls for Girls. And this article popped up from 2018, where they have these kinds of posters talking about culture, not costume. Okay. And then this video that is 4 minutes long. I'm gonna start it and then maybe finish it at the end of our session because she does talk a lot about hair. So let's just play this and then we can start talking about how we feel about cultural appropriation. Okay. Now, Tommy, I'm going to go ahead and have you come into this conversation. Hello, sir. If you were kind of watching this video, I want to get your reaction so we can have this initial what we feel about cultural appropriation. This conversation. So you saw the images of some of those artists there, and is this a good depiction, a good definition of cultural appropriation?
Are you asking me, Letty?
The group. I'm asking the group. I wanted to show that. I wanted to have, this young girl kind of walk us through what she has seen, because I really like the way they set up this website and some of the articles that are in there. She's talking about hair. She's obviously someone who has to deal with hair issues. As a Black woman, she's dealing with hair issues. And then she goes into detail, like this is what we're seeing. And without saying cultural appropriation, she's sort of defining it for us. So I thought that it was a good visual representation and a good way to start the conversation. So if you were looking at the different images that were being brought up, specifically with celebrities, because that's what we see, we're inundated with those models and and artists, what the feeling was when you saw what you saw. Anyway.
For me, for the celebrity, it's always easy to wear what, like the hair, when an average person like me struggles with the hair. And it has been a struggle my whole life until we've had the Crown Act recently that was instituted here in California. So it looks fun, but they don't understand the pain that has come as a result of just being who you are. And so, yeah, it draws money for them, but they don't say who inspired the hair, what culture inspired the hair. We're left out of the equation. So it's like, what looks fun for you is painful. So just honor where you get the idea from. That's my thing.
That's a good point. And actually part of how we're going to end up defining it. Richard, were you going to say something?
Okay.
Oh, this is a hard chapter for me to understand because I sort of go back and forth. But the key things that she talked about was a dominant culture, using and profiting from another culture to sort of get things the way they like it, and then that got me thinking. And so I apologize, I couldn't hear the sound on the video, and so I just saw the pictures, and so I'm just sort of assuming some of the things that were said, but that's an interesting perspective from Dr. Dixon.
Yes.
I hadn't thought of that. It's not just a matter of not liking somebody to wear cornrows. It's the struggle that goes with it. The choice that you have as a white person to wear cornrows, but you adopted it from another culture and you give it no respect. And I think that's interesting.
Yes. So that sort of adopting things that bits and pieces of what you like, and it's not necessarily always for profit. It could be these different ways that you're garnering attention or drawing attention to yourself because you're wearing a costume or you're pretending to fight a cause or so, but you're using the cultural icons or artifacts to do that without, like Dr. Dixon was saying, without any sort of reference to or research into or additional information about why that even is. Why are you doing it that way? Because we're going to talk a little bit about appreciation versus appropriation, right? That's a big that's the two words that are sort of different there. Tommy, did you have anything you wanted to add? I'm sorry you couldn't hear the video.
That's okay.
Wow, what do I say about hair? I like what Tanya said, and I'm going to go along with her beliefs in it. I mean, what do I say? I go back to the days when I had a fro, right? And I had a big, thick afro, and I went back and I did what I wish I would have known better then, put straight my hair and did everything else. And that's probably why I look like I look today.
Yeah.
And I found a picture of you, so I'm going to share that with a fro. Just kidding. I don't have a picture of you with a fro.
Oh my gosh. Because there is one out there. Remember, Rich, they showed it at the EAC last year. There is one out there.
Well, now I'm going to have to hunt it down. Darn it. Okay. So as y'all know, we're talking about cultural appropriation, and we're going to talk next about this appropriation when it happened, the bits and pieces, and choosing bits and pieces when it comes to what Oluo was describing as she walked through an airport and finding a restaurant, right? She was talking about this African lounge. And so you see a sign for African lounge, and this would happen I think to any of us who appreciate, if there's some kind of home cooked anything, and you see a sign that you think is going to reflect that, and you're homesick or you're traveling, even when you're not, but especially in that situation, and then you turn the corner and you see zebra colored chairs and a mural of cavemen, what looks to her like cavemen. So those bits and pieces, when you encounter those things, how does that affect you? And Richard, I know you said like you're not going to be able to relate maybe to some of this, but as you are more culturally aware and sensitive about these things, what does reading an experience like that kind of do to that sense?
As I read it, I could so relate. And I love the fact that first of all, that the author was so entrenched in her culture. I can imagine, I've left California, but I've never left the United States. So to come into a different place, trying to start again, you want to find something that resembles home. And so when I have traveled, I've always tried to find like a soul food restaurant. I love soul food. Don't eat it all the time, but I enjoy it because that's a way of comfort. Because it, like her, it brings memories. It makes me think about grandma and makes me think about certain things. But when the menu and this is no for anyone who likes kale, that's your thing. I like kale too, but when I want collard greens, that's what I want. I don't want a substitute because the substitute is not gratifying. Right. And so I feel what she felt, and not seeing something that she adores not being accepted or appreciated. This past weekend, as a matter of fact, I went to Long Beach, and I was looking around the shops. We ate at a great place, but when I saw that soul food restaurant, it just brought life to me. To see my people laughing and talking over fried chicken. Long Beach is by Queen Mary.
Where, Tanya? Where?
It's in Long Beach. It's by the Queen Mary. And so I saw the
Give
togetherness.
me a name. I need more than that.
Well, I have to look. When we're talking, I have to look it up. Okay. I didn't get a chance to go there.
But you
cannot do that. You can't come on and talk about that and then say, "Oh, in Long Beach."
Oh, I see where we're going tonight. This is good.
Secret.
So, so I could identify with what she was talking about. I need to see something that represents me. And if you're going to do it right. Do it,
Yeah, if you turn the corner and it turns out to be a KFC, you're like, what the hell?
I like KFC, but
yes. But that's not what you're looking for.
That's not what I need. Something that's going to remind my soul of home.
Yeah. Her story, and I was trying to tie this together, but more misrepresentation than an appropriation, because African Lounge, I mean, even for a white person going in there, it's going to have some expectations, but they had burgers and fries, and
right.
I found it so distasteful because of the representation that it was an African Lounge, and so I understood that discussion. Yeah, I'm wondering.
But that's sort of where the where profiting does come off, because I'm going to assume this is something that's probably in other airports, and so they're profiting off of that expectation that someone wants something different, and then once you get there, what are you going to do? You're at an airport, so either you have the burgers and fries or the grilled chicken or whatever, or you go hungry, or at least you buy a drink and walk away sad because or maybe pissed off because it's not it was misrepresented, but they're profiting off of that theme.
Right. Yeah.
Were you going to add something, Tommy?
This started long ago with Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, back in the day, doing what he watched you know, who was Bo Diddley, when he watched Bo Diddley and he watched others dance and do that, he mimicked that, and as a result, considered one of the greatest stars of all time. Well, he got that, and he said it. I remember as a kid him saying that he liked to watch black entertainers because they had a lot of rhythm in their move, and he appropriated it. It became Elvis Presley. Tanya, you probably remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember hearing the stories, but then also remember a beloved artist who passed away from us last year, Little Richard, and how he talked about that he was the architect of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And they never, to me, and this is my opinion, that they never gave him proper honor until he passed. So it was like that wasn't right. They didn't say, yes, he is the architect. He is the one who laid the foundation for Elvis and many others.
And he spoke out about it too. And all we gave him back was, oh, get over it. You know,
right.
As a culture, you know, as a white culture, was get over it. You know, Elvis is king. You know, and you could see that anger in Little Richard, just to say, I don't want to say it's anger, but the disappointment in saying I deserve some recognition here, and I love Little Richard and his music, and so yeah, it's unfortunate.
So because you called on it a little bit about him individually, what his sort of feeling was about that. I think that I'm going to pull this up because I think this is important to kind of recognize that sometimes it does have to do with individually how we relate or feel about our culture and how it's being, you know, misrepresented or appropriated, and we all get to react in whatever way it is that's upsetting us or hurting us. So collectively or individually, the definition and sentiment about cultural appropriation changes with one's identification and sentiment about aspects of their culture. So where someone may react in such a way, and we don't know because we didn't interview these people, well, at least I didn't. Tommy, like where you're describing about different musicians, different artists, and what was stolen from them in a lot of ways. They may or may not, if they were successful, maybe it wasn't as impactful to them. It became more personal. If someone like Little Richard actually says, this is what happened, and I'm not happy about it. And then you're told, well, no one else is complaining. So don't worry about, why are you worried about it? You're successful. We also cherish you. I don't know. Like, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but this idea that, again, these monoliths they don't exist. We don't all feel the same way about how our culture is being appropriated. So sometimes it can be difficult if someone's speaking up more than others. We try to put them in their place.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tanya. Sorry.
No. I was just thinking about how we tell people, be yourself, but not like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's too much of yourself.
Too
Please
much. I'm sorry, Richard. Sorry, Richard. Go ahead.
I was going to say that it just recently, I had a colleague on LinkedIn post a story. She's a program manager at Berkeley, and so, but often posts things in raising up Latinas and is extremely vocal, but she's always thought-provoking stuff, and I think Letty introduced me to her on LinkedIn, and but she had posted something about Cinco de Mayo, and she started off the post with Cinco de Mayo, I hate it, and then she explained why. Because that it's been appropriated, that white people generally celebrate Cinco de Mayo as a reason to party and drink tequila and wear sombreros and just sort of take the culture, and that's what was upsetting. And so I simply just reposted it, and I had another colleague who's white chimed in and started really aggressively saying, you know, what's her background? Does she come from a Spanish speaking family? Does she starts giving her the you know, all kinds of questions about, you know, what's her right in saying that we shouldn't celebrate Cinco de Mayo? And wrote, I mean, literally a thesis on why this person was wrong for hating Cinco de Mayo. And this is a white man. And I just thought, I was stunned. And I just sort of said, in my comment back is, your response was extremely aggressive and confusing. And I choose to believe what she's telling me, and I'll accept the fact that, and I side with her position. So if they were debating, I definitely wasn't on his side, and just realized that you have to listen. She posted again today, and it was interesting because she wasn't really responding at all, but she posted again today that she leads up a group for Latinx faculty at her school. And she was wondering, how can she support him? How can she support him? So she went and talked to her mom, like, how can I support the faculty that I'm representing? And her mom said, and this is a quote, "Shut up and listen."
Yeah.
That's all she said. Her mom said to her, just shut up and listen. So listen to them, what they have to say. And so I'm thinking that's the what I'm taking away from this is to listen. You know, I may not even recognize that something is appropriated at the time, but if somebody's offended and they're telling me, believe them, you know, and listen.
No, that's
yeah,
important. It is a challenge in listening and understand that it's their experience. We can't fix their experience. And so it takes being in tune and asking questions. Well, why do you feel this way? You know, is there something, what can I do to help join you, you know, in celebration? What is it? We don't listen. Sometimes we just want to fix, but we need to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also, this is also from our chapter. The idea that cultural appropriation is primarily linked to the power imbalance between the culture doing the appropriating and the culture being appropriated. So in that conversation, or in that back and forth, that I'm just going to go ahead and say it was an English teacher because he wrote a ton of stuff. So that English teacher was attacking the stance on not wanting to have Cinco de Mayo. Why are we still celebrating Cinco de Mayo? Because a lot of us feel the same way because of what we see happening. And so when we see the dominant culture or the imbalance between who it is that is putting on los sombreros, and she said something about language too, didn't she? It's because then they choose to say words in Spanish that are in Spanish incorrectly on purpose, right? So there's like this joking, like, I'm trying to speak Spanish, but I'm messing it up, and then wearing a sombrero and getting drunk or pretending. I mean, it's not even, I don't want to go down this road. Cinco de Mayo is in a couple of days and we're going to get a hate mail. But it's like Richard, what you're saying about when do you know? When do you know it's happening? How are you supposed to identify it if someone doesn't say? But once they say, then how do you react? Is it the dominant culture reacts in such a way that there's defensiveness, the need to argue, the need to fix, right? Like it's a quick fix, this issue, like, don't be upset. It's okay. Don't be upset. It's fine. It's not that big a deal. Don't be upset. But you're the dominant culture telling me that it's okay for you to put on a sombrero and say people's names wrong because of Cinco de Mayo? What? I don't know. It's too much drama.
It is. It is. It's amazing. You can't tell a person how to feel.
Right.
You can't tell a person how to feel, especially in their experience. Yeah.
This here, Tommy, I'm going to bring it back to you because you brought up Elvis, and this is sort of how she defines this idea that it's okay when attention is shifted, when the dominant culture, and we could say white culture, will prefer whatever it is cloaked in whiteness. And that when we talk about music, because she brings up music as an example, whether it's rap or all the way back, you know, going back to the roots of jazz and other African-based type of music, that as it made its way through the United States, it was changed to fit in this whiteness. It's cloaked so that it's more appealing to the masses. And I think Elvis is a good example of that.
Yeah, Elvis is good. It made me think of also, I like to watch documentaries and look at pictures, and I saw a picture of Ella Fitzgerald was arrested for singing in an all-white auditorium. And it made me think about many artists, many Black artists who have suffered, and I'm sure there's others across the spectrum, but particularly Black artists who have suffered and have had their rights and not being paid properly for their gift. It's like, so the dominant culture says, we don't want you, we want your gift, so that we can make money off of you. We can make money off of your pain, because a lot of good R&B, a lot of good music is birthed out of what? Pain and experiences. So when we do that, that's so dishonoring. I was recently watching, there's a show that comes on every Sunday. I'm gonna put a plug in. It's not my show, but it's on TV One. It's called Unsung. And it highlights artists and their stories about music. And recently I saw George Clinton of the Atomic Dog fame, and he was talking about there's people who still owe him royalties for sampling his music, who are not giving honor to him and his hard works. So yeah, there's that power struggle. It's like, I wanna show my love to the world, but will I be accepted as a person? We love hearing the Afro sounds and all the difference, but do we know where they come from? And do we celebrate them? I mean, truly.
Yeah, we talk, Letty and I have had this conversation in which we talk about authors of color and people reaching out to them with this expectation that they'll, you know, come present or talk about their book or something at no cost, for free. We're always like, I don't understand. People that researched something and came up with a better idea on how to police and you know, yeah.
That seems oddly specific.
The expectation that, hey, just give me all this for free blows my mind sometimes. No, I think that we all willingly give. I think I don't have a problem with that. But what I'm talking about is when people actually benefit from something and it grows and you see it spread, and the originator of those ideas is not justifiably recognized or compensated.
That's a problem. We don't want to put the face, right? We don't want to put the face to that pain. Like Dr. Dixon was saying, it's like, just give me the goods, because I know that this will make money or this will have an impact on somebody's life, and I don't have to deal with how painful or where it came from. You're from the marginalized community. This quote, I think it's like we keep saying this, but I feel like this is what gets lost is the idea that those cultures are still routinely discriminated against for the exact same thing, that like what Elvis was doing, those other artists were still being discriminated against, were still being marketed or sold, or it was said of them that it was, you know, too much, too crazy, devil's music. But then the white people can come in and tour and make money and take from the fruits of that labor without, so they're rewarded, like it says here, they're rewarded for adopting that, but everyone else is still being punished for it. and people they don't have the conversation. It's a difficult topic because maybe like you were saying, Richard, you don't really maybe you don't see it, or you don't know you see it unless somebody points it out and says it, or it's not blatantly obvious, like with sports teams, maybe.
Let me jump in here real quick and just throw something out that I've been thinking about. They say flattery is the best form of compliment. So cultural appropriations in some aspects.
I think it starts that way. I think that's sort of where it's like, oh, we're appreciating. So that's the difference between appreciating a culture and appropriating it, is what you're taking, not honoring that culture, or you're taking it because you know you can benefit from it as a white person or a different culture, because this isn't just white people. I think it goes across different cultures, can be appropriated. You know, I'm from Mexican heritage, and I shouldn't be walking around with a headdress unless I'm, you know, if I know that I have Aztec roots and I'm connected in that way, and I'm celebrating the culture.
What did he say?
He's leaving us. He didn't like what I was saying.
No, no, I hear what you're saying, Letty.
But that's sort of the point. If I study and I know that I have a linkage and I'm raised that way, or I'm discovering my roots, right? Because we're discovering our ancestry, and then we realize that is a connection, and we're going to now study, honor. But I'm not going to go out tomorrow and buy a headdress and try to start learning how to dance the dances. Like that would be insincere. And I would be, even for myself, appropriating something so that I can take pictures and put it on Instagram or something. You're not doing the work, still not doing the work.
Not doing the work. And it's like I was, and also we have to be mindful, what may be so comfortable for us is sacred for a culture. It may be sacred. In my field, working with in chaplaincy, I have found even the spiritual things like a rosary, where we just throw on a chain with the cross. For some people, that symbol, that's sacred. You know, I was reading today in the fashion industry how many fashion designers have been sued by various cultures because they misappropriated certain items, like maybe tribal masks and headdresses, like you were saying, because they took out the sacred part of it. And then one of the authors said that when we do that, when we misappropriate culture, we forget about the workers who put together the mask, and we forget about people who spend hours and hours laboring to create the sacred things.
Yes, there's I want to say it was in Central or South America where there were women, I think they were blankets maybe, that were being woven. They were weaving blankets, and then they were being taken and sold, and they weren't getting any of the money. I mean, that was like the biggest crime against those people, those indigenous women who had, you know, that skill was passed down and it meant something to them, and then someone was stealing it and making money, and then not addressing who created it, where the designs came from, right? Because they're designing it themselves, and then not paying them for the work. So that was like egregious. But since you said that, I'm going to pull up, and this isn't a video, so we won't have to worry about the sound on this one. I'm going to pull up, hang on a second. I just did a Google search of cultural appropriation. And so, these pictures make me so uncomfortable. And then I clicked on images. So here's what we got. Some images. It does seem to be mostly women that are sort of the target of that cultural appropriation. Is Madonna, Katy Perry. Then we have costumes here.
Mm-hmm.
These costumes. I mean,
Mm.
I think I went a whole long time looking at things like this and feeling uncomfortable, but not really leaning into how wrong it was
Mm-hmm.
and speaking out about it. And that's a regret.
Mm.
And so here's Elvis. It's just, I mean, the idea that these things are treated like they're costumes, and this conversation maybe is a little abstract for some people and don't quite understand what's so wrong with it. Maybe I'm honoring your people.
Yeah.
Can I ask about the belly dancing? Is that
What? I'm sorry, say that again.
In the book, the belly dancing as an exercise?
Mm.
What do you want to?
Well, I mean, that was sort of I was on the fence, like, I believe, but I didn't even know what culture that was appropriated from as a belly dancing. I'm thinking the Middle East, but I'm not positive. And so I had to make some assumptions when I was reading that, but then I always just thought it was just belly dancing and a form of dance, and that wasn't a problem.
Oh,
because I know it is, there's gyms you can join that do, belly dancing as an exercise, and it's an effective exercise. But if there's culture behind it that I don't understand, and the chance of that being offensive, then I'm also thinking, how did it become so okay in the white culture? A lot of the appropriation, I really do challenge, that yeah, this is totally inappropriate, and and the costumes you were showing, the sombrero with the big mustache and the that just is so inappropriate. That I get. I'm there.
Okay, then let me ask you this, because this has been recent. The whole idea of Pepe Le Pew. Seems funny, but so he was, canceled or whatever you want to call it. He was removed from the new Space Jam movie, and people were saying it's because, and I remember those cartoons. I remember, how he would grab the cat, and it was like she's trying to get away, she's saying no, and he's still kissing her and coming after her. So that's inappropriate. That's sexual harassment. But the other conversation right after that was, okay, then what about Speedy Gonzalez? And because when you said sombrero, so we've got this mouse, wears a sombrero, has a thick Mexican accent, and people who are Hispanic, Latino, a lot of people don't. They're like, no, he's cool. That's great. I love him. But because of the way that things are going right now, this cultural shift on, what's appropriate and what's appropriation, people are saying they want to remove him. But there's like this fight to keep him, because not that there's I don't think people think that they're being represented by this mouse, but the idea that it's like a cool character, I think appeals to people, that he's a good guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that even does that even catch your attention? Does it bother you?
It just makes me think of childhood, and he was fun to watch. Yeah. He was fun to watch. But now look, like you said, with the tides changing, people are sensitive about how they're represented in their culture. So what do we do? What do we do? I thought it was fun. I was like, but see, there's the innocence in there. Yes. I was looking at the fact this is cartoon time. I get to have snacks. I wasn't looking past, what's appropriate or not. So it's like, is there a way to educate about Speedy Gonzalez? Is there?
What do you think, Richard?
Oh, I have absolutely no clue on the answer on that one.
You don't want to say.
I'm
This is
I'm
a safe
sitting
space.
here. I'm sitting here. Well, I'm sitting here thinking, when would Speedy Gonzalez be appropriate? When if we're trying to celebrate diversity and understand diversity, then you need to be exposed to diversity. And so
Yes.
I honestly, I grasp that Speedy Gonzalez is not appropriate, and I understand that, but then in what context? And I'm thinking, you know, traditional Mexican festivals and those kinds of things, expose yourself to that kind of culture and appreciate what is going on, and don't mock. And I think definitely Speedy Gonzalez was mocking um, uh, Mexicans in
Was
particular,
he?
because I don't remember.
He always he always outsmarted. He was like the good guy. And so people were like, I have no problem with him because he wasn't a caricature of the culture.
Right.
That's people are arguing that. But of course, then other people are like, he's wearing a sombrero and he's a mouse. What are you talking about? I don't know. We obviously aren't going to make a decision about that, but that's one of those things that is out there. This kind of conversation where it's like we want representation, but how are we being represented? And so I've read arguments where like people are saying no, it's good because he was smart and it was like a good thing to have this Spanish speaking that we knew was from Mexico, but then people are like, is that really what we want, how we want to be represented? But it's like it's a cartoon. It goes round and round.
Right.
I'm kind of like what you're saying, Dr. Dixon. I remember enjoying it.
Yeah.
But then I also remember that feeling of, especially now, like, oh, you know what? That's a problem. Could there been a better version, a less racist version? I don't know. Maybe we need to come up with one.
Didn't you have a cousin also that was sort of the antithesis of Speedy Gonzalez?
Oh, was he drunk?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Was he always hiccuping? I feel like he was, or is that a different cartoon? I remember a lot of drunk.
I don't remember that.
Well,
I don't remember.
But I do think it's and we've talked about this. Going to Taco Bell. A lot of people enjoy going to Taco Bell. But are you truly celebrating the Mexican culture with Taco Bell? And no.
And you don't go there for Mexican food. That's a lie.
Yes, but it flies a flag of Mexican food very close to the African lounge, in that it's not Mexican food. So, if somebody was visiting the U.S., from Mexico, and it was their first time here, and they saw, Taco Bell and Mexican cuisine.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying.
Does it say that? I don't think they're claiming that.
No, I see.
It doesn't say. If it said Mexican Bell, maybe. African Lounge that has the word African in it. It's implying that there's African food at this lounge. That's that's sort of maybe the difference. Taco Bell knows they're not selling no Mexican food. Although I'll eat there every once in a while.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
We grew up in Washington State with Taco Bell or Taco Time.
No, we're not going to talk about Taco Time. Please.
But they had Mexi fries, and they but they were tots, and they just were spiced up a little bit and deep fried.
Tater tots.
But
tots.
Come on, man.
And so,
but they were called Mexi fries.
Yeah. What?
No.
But I don't.
You can't. No. It's embarrassing.
But it was wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
I think about it now, and I'm like sort of embarrassed for my hometown.
Amazing.
Okay, but this is the point right here. They're taking whatever they can, whoever it is that's profiting from it, or somehow enjoying some better version of whatever comes out of this art or cuisine or some whatever creation it is that you're taking from them, and then it's benefiting you, and then you have no knowledge, or if you do have knowledge, you're ignoring where it came from and how it came to be. And I think that's why a lot of people fight against, admitting or wanting to say that that's what they're doing, because this is it's a painful experience. It's painful to watch. It's to watch it happen and be like, "God, you're mocking my culture, or you're stealing from it and benefiting from it in some way."
Yeah.
And we're still suffering. That culture is still suffering, and not reaping any kind of rewards.
Right. No rewards and no affirmation that you matter, that your culture matters. There's no affirmation. And so that's where, again, the educational piece comes in about, talking with people and just don't think about what you're doing. Think about what you're wearing. Think about who you're listening to, and appreciate those who, those who are still suffering.
Yeah.
When I see the Mexican gentleman sometime, and there's is selling the corn, is it elote?
The elote, the elote man.
Yes, and I'm like, look, there's a celebration of his culture, of his or her culture. I love it. And so we honor. It's like, just give honor to whom honor is due. And it's painful, but even in the pain, if that, to me, just that little point of acknowledging can, there's my word, help bring healing. Affirming people can bring healing to our souls. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in going to family parties and having the tacos at family parties, in the culture that, I don't know if it's Mexican culture, but the culture of the Latinx family, and the tacos that are celebrated there, it is a celebration of food. I mean, they're so good and so well made, and so, I mean, you can eat all night long, and it's something to be cherished and celebrated. And I appreciate the fact that I've been exposed to that culture, and but I do think something's been robbed from places like Taco Time or Taco Bell from that culture, so that people have gotten extremely rich off of the idea of the taco, and but it's really not representative of the culture.
She talks about, because I think about the soul food that you mentioned before. She does bring up, an example of just taking the bits and pieces, calling it fusion, and then because there's a non-person of color as a chef, then it's like all of a sudden, again, cloaked in whiteness, it's acceptable. It's something new and fun we can try, instead of just going to the soul food place where the peach cobbler is amazing.
Yeah.
The fried chicken's the best you've ever had.
Right.
And the collard greens.
And then talking about the history of soul food. It was not a cuisine for us, for my people. It was birthed out of slavery. They were given what was left over and made something good. And it brought families together who were in pain. So yeah, that's why sharing those meals and having those stories are so important. So important. And it's not fusion. Just give me some greens and cornbread. It's not, I don't want the fusion. I want the real deal.
Can't wait to get back in there.
Yeah.
Maybe we should also start I don't think there's a food chapter, but we should start recommending restaurants.
Right.
We can all go back to eating in places, right?
I know.
Thank you, Sally, for that comment. That was beautiful.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I think we've covered almost everything. I want to just call us back to, what is cultural appropriation, making sure that, like Richard was saying, what if I don't know? Pay attention.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not difficult to look around and know where you're coming from and know that that's not it. Why is my sister wearing that thing? Like, she shouldn't be wearing that thing.
Right.
Today I attended a breakout during an online conference, and the presenter talked about being an interrupter, and how it's, you don't necessarily even have to feel like you have to go protest in the street, but if you're in the presence of some racist, or in the middle of a cultural appropriation in a parade or something, or someone walks in your house dressed a certain way or saying certain things, and you interrupt the moment, not necessarily because you're going to change that person's mind, but you interrupt it so that they don't feel like it's okay. And maybe if they keep being interrupted, then they won't do that next Halloween or whatever, next Cinco de Mayo or whatever, whatever that may be. Today's the 3rd, so it's creeping up on us. Any last words before we close this out?
I have some last words.
Yes, Dr. Dixon.
Yay! And it's been on my heart, and it's like something I practice as well. And this is for everybody, no matter what your culture is. There's a thing in chaplaincy where we call it culture care. And I believe it's important for all of us to take time to understand and learn about our culture and immerse in it. We all know we haven't had festivals because of the pandemic, but there's documentaries we can watch on YouTube. We can go to Netflix. There's even music you can listen to, because when we leave our homes, we are immersed in what people think we should be, and sometimes we get lost in the translation. But you are who you are. You are designed the way you are designed, and you come from the culture that you come from for a purpose. And I want to tell everyone, all of us, I'm telling myself, we matter. I appreciate Mexican food. I appreciate Filipino food. I appreciate American food. I appreciate all of it. But I want to say I appreciate you. I don't want just your gift. I want to know you. And so if we do that, that can help strengthen the lines of connection while dismantling the racisms and the misconceptions that we're nobodies. All of us are somebody. All of us are. So I'll just encourage everyone to immerse in your culture, because you are valuable.
Yes. Dropping some more truth bombs. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I love it. And honestly, that's, I don't know if it's just me, but anything that brings people together where you can share a meal, any food related activities, where, and if you're learning from it also, man, that's like the perfect teaching experience.
Food and music. Music is like is language. It's a language. So, listen to each other's music. That's another connecting point as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, with that, I'm going to bring up that May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So starting Saturday, the 1st, all the way to the end of the month. There's a few different things that are happening. I believe it's also Jewish Heritage Month. This is the one I wanted to call attention to, because I'm going to show you my shirt, because I decided to wear the shirt that we got from before, Stop Asian Hate, that our friend Chrissy Norris designed, and she was selling these and then donating a percentage of the profits to an Asian American feminist coalition that she was sponsoring. So look up Asian American Heritage Month, Pacific Islander. Like you were saying, watch movies, listen to music, eat some food, talk to people. I know TikTok is actually, it could be as easy as just watching some TikTok, because they're talking about having like live events throughout the month for some of their influencers. that are performing or sharing. You know, they're sharing about food, they're sharing about fashion, they're sharing about their culture. So TikTok is actually, you know, stepping up in some of these ways. They did this during Black History Month as well.
Okay.
So Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And then the other thing is May is also Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yay!
So I thought you would appreciate this.
Yay!
Epic is partnering with the Henrietta Wild Memorial Child Guidance Clinic. And on Thursdays, we will have a live stream just like this, where some other clinicians will be coming on every Thursday this month. So we'll do 4 sessions. They're going to be talking about depression and anxiety, diagnosis, how to cope, how to get help, how to support family members, friends. So that will be on Thursdays. We have I don't want to play the video in case you guys can't hear it. There are videos on the Epic LinkedIn and Facebook pages, so you can go check those out. It'll be Thursdays at 6 p.m. Right here. Epic is supporting that cause. And then next week, May 10th, Chapter 11. Why can't I touch your hair? This is going to be fun. Don't even ask.
Don't do
but
it.
Definitely
Put your
don't
hand
do it
back.
without asking.
Yeah.
So that'll be next week. We will be talking about not touching people's hair. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Dr. Dixon. We will see you again. Thank you, Richard. Everyone have a great evening. And we have one more comment here. Oh, Natalie Rios now is one of the clinicians who will be here on Thursday. Is her night, so she'll be presenting Thursday night. So thank you, Natalie, for chiming in.
Nice.
See everybody on Thursday, and see you soon,
Bye-bye.
Dr. Dixon.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Good night, all.
Thank you.